figure out a new position that maintains relevance within this sphere. I also heard something else really interesting. That's a big switch, and I think what's difficult about this is we want to come in and have the answer to begin with at the beginning of these conferences, but our job is to not have any answers and to just hear what you say. So the thing that I really heard loud and clear a lot of people saying was about curation. And curation kind of comes from, not from this part, but as a result of what happened with this going through digital channels is there was, the whole thing flipped upside down. And what you have now is you've got the consumer on the one side and a vast ocean of choice on the other side. And this could be musicians, but it's not just musicians. This is New York Times, Wall Street Journal. This is whatever streaming service you use. It's all of those different things that are now out there and accessible to an alarming degree, where the filtering becomes this vast and exhausting exercise. And as we heard kind of at the last roundtable that came out of that is that sometimes we just want to switch on the radio. Please, someone choose for me. We've also heard that this is the source of social curation, that there's a lot of different mechanisms in there around how to create a new sense of intermediation between these two, because really the locus has shifted there. So it gives us a new kind of model of looking at it, that ultimately, yes, we are looking at the relationship between the artist and the consumer, but there's a lot of different elements to that we need to consider. I loved this acronym that the one team came up with, which was RIM, the Global Registry of Internet Materials, which to me really is very interesting. We heard earlier on in the conference that a major barrier to globalization and making things easy in licensing and in bringing out new products is the friction in the system. There's so many players that you have to go to. So GRIM was really interesting because to me it spoke to the need on the one hand. People are really hurting, they're finding this to be a barrier, but also the deep ambivalence that people are feeling about it at the same time. And that's interesting. I think I remember someone scrolled down somewhere, is this communism in the music industry? And I don't comment, but it's interesting. And the other thing is, so I think what we're looking at here in terms of the model and the conversations that we've been having, it's talking about what happens in between here. And that's where the new business models are. That's what needs to be considered. The difficulty is, of course, all of the billions of dollars of baggage that we carry into this conversation and trying to figure it out. Another key theme in here that we heard that we thought was pretty cool was this fair trade music concept that someone raised that really spoke to the sense of connection that people want to feel with the artists, that I think is analogous to for people who are living in cities where the 100-mile diet has become a big thing. The same yearning that we're feeling at this point for a sense of connection with farmers and who grows our food. There's now also that sense of connection of who produces this music, where's this person from, what influenced them. And that's potentially something that could be the roots of a new business model as well. What I thought was really interesting was now looking at where creativity comes from, what creates creativity. And this was looking at the concept of a creative cluster, which, not surprisingly, a lot of groups really struggled with this. And I think found it a bit of a stretch of sort of saying, okay, I'm used to finding artists, I'm used to connecting them to audiences, connecting them with deals. To start to think on a different level of where do they come from, what actually produces them, is a more complicated question. It's definitely a multi-stakeholder question. It has implications for public policy, for business, for education. And I loved some of the things we were hearing coming out of the groups on this, and seeing some of the models. A surprising number of the models had a middle finger incorporated into it somewhere. But they also had some good insights as well. And it's funny that it really came down to creative cities. It's about transport, it's universities. But I loved there was the mention on one of them about gay lesbian communities as being a part of it, that really spoke to the need for diversity of all kinds to actually drive the creative tension that creates creativity. And then the business and the cultural scene. So the business itself, which of course, in the absence of actual commercial drive in these places, they can't just happen on a farm somewhere. Without that commercial drive, there's no monetization that's going to happen. So then, of course, to go more meta, was there's creative clusters around the world. This was really interesting now to think of competing creative cultures. We heard about the barriers to bringing music into new markets. It's one thing for Australia and Canada and UK and America who share a common language. It's easy to think international with that, but what about Brazilian music? What about music that is in other languages? And we heard the question on the floor earlier to Jun, which was about, okay, it's great to hear about the opportunity in China. What does that mean for tango? Is there a market for tango? What does that mean for markets? And again, so that's where looking from the different vantage points gives you very different answers. Is that it's not just, okay, there's a market there, but where's the people? Who is actually looking at what those consumers want? We also, thanks to the reporters through each of the rounds, got a snapshot of what the pulse of the conversation was, a bit of a heat map, as they were capturing keywords that we were going through. It's really interesting to see the flow of focus as we went through. This is roundtable 1, and seeing access and trust and protection and control really big, real emphasis. That was really coming up a lot in that roundtable. But then also to hear value. And I thought that value conversation was really interesting. There was a lot of richness to it. But it was really at every stage of the value chain, considering the value. What value does each player bring to that? And then in the second one, looking at those creative clusters, looking at the different business models. Education, fascinating, I think, for sure. What really caught me by surprise, though, was passion. I thought that was so telling that was across all the conversations. Passion came out again and again. And I think we heard some people questioning, when is it right to talk about monetization? When is it right to talk about the money? And I think a major driver underneath all of that is actually, as long as it's coming from passion, as long as it's coming from really wanting to create value and connect with things, that seems to be the main driver now. And then looking at globalization and localization, the global and connectivity, social, local. I thought this was really interesting that a lot of people were saying local doesn't matter at all. And I think that's debatable. I don't know what's going on around the corner from my house because I'm too digitally connected. I can see all my media at a national or international level, and then don't know what's going on down the street. So I hope this has given a bit of context and proven that we've listened a little bit to you guys. This is the kind of container for what we've heard this week, but we'd also like to bring a couple people up to the stage to help give a bit more context on this. So we've got Catherine, Jonathan, and Steve, if you could come up.